of my listeners have been also on my webinars. I am right now running a series of a webinar. I'm doing a webinar every single Thursday night, and that webinar is based on Tom Hegna's best-selling book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, 7 Steps to Retirement Security. Now, I would recommend, if you haven't been on that webinar, just go to our website, safemoneyretirement.com right now, click on the webinars tab and register for this Thursday's showing of the webinar. It's fantastic. I'm going to give a really brief description of what's in that webinar right now, but I strongly recommend everyone go to that webinar because there's a lot of really good in-depth information. First, again, if you haven't already got a copy of my book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success, everything that you're going to hear talk about in that webinar and that we're going to talk about right now is in my book. Goes into depth of why you need to plan for your retirement, what you can do to plan for it, and we'll send you a copy absolutely free. Just go to our website, safemoneyretirement.com, or give us a call at 833-413-SAFE. We'll send you a copy absolutely free. Now, what are the 7 steps to retirement security that we are always talking about in this webinar and that Tom has broken down in his book? By the way, I recommend any of Tom Hegna's books. He's got a whole bunch of them. They're all fantastic. Step number 1, have a plan. This is one of the biggest things. You hear me preach this every single week. Have a plan for retirement. Whatever that plan is, you've got to have one. We need to sit down. We need to figure out, what are we going to do to get you the income you need when you retire? What are you going to do to have additional income in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 when you need it? Have a plan. Get a plan put together so you know where you're going, so we can direct the ship in the right direction to make sure we get you where you want to go. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is maximize your Social Security benefits. Now, if you've already turned on Social Security, granted, this is kind of a moot point for you. If you haven't, there are a lot of things that we can do to maximize your benefits. I go into depth in the webinar. I don't have time to do that really quick in this segment, but there are things that we can do. For example, we always want to have the higher earner defer turning Social Security on as long as possible, and the lower income person can go ahead and start theirs at 62 if they want. Why? Because of the basically whichever of the spouse is left, whichever dies, the other is going to get the bigger of the beneficiary, the bigger of the amount, the payout amount from Social Security. So we want to have the top payout person in a couple basically defer their Social Security as long as possible to 67, 68, maybe even 70, because then if they wind up passing first, the lower income person is going to get their Social Security. That's just one thing. There's a lot of other things, but that's number 2, is maximize your Social Security benefits. Number 3 is consider a hybrid retirement. Now, what is that? A hybrid retirement is when you go into retirement, don't just be 100% retired, still do something to have some money coming in. It could be a part-time job. It could be something you're passionate about that you could make a little bit of money. It could be working for a charity. There's a lot of different things that you could do. It's good not only in financial sense, but it's good to keep you going and keep you engaged and keep your mind sharp. A lot of real benefits to considering a hybrid retirement. Number 4, protect your savings from inflation. Y'all hear me talk about this all the time as well. Inflation, as we know right now, is just massive and it's a huge problem. And what can you do to protect your savings from it? What can you do to protect your income from it? So that's one of the things that we really go into in the webinar, is what you can do to protect your savings from inflation. But basically, you need to make sure that you have got something growing at a rate higher than inflation to protect your savings from inflation. And just having your money in the market, well, you don't know if it's going to be higher than inflation or not. So that really doesn't accomplish that. All right, step 5, secure more guaranteed income. And I said guaranteed income, not, boy, I sure hope it's going to be there if come. Big difference there. Y'all have heard me preach this for years. You need guaranteed 100%. You know it's going to be their income, and it's going to pay you this amount for the rest of you and your spouse's life, and if that's the case, as long as you live, no matter how long that is. That's what you need. You need guaranteed income, and then you need something on top of that, to go back to the point before this, that can continue to grow and continue to grow and continue to grow. And then in the years in the future, when inflation catches up and you need a little bit more, you've got more you can turn on. And then another one a few years after that, you've got another one you can turn on. That's how you get the guaranteed income and overcome the inflation. All right, step 6. Plan for long-term medical costs. This one is huge, and so many people don't plan for this. 70%, over 70% of people these days are going to need some form of long-term care. Over 70% of people that are over 65. Make a plan for it. Doesn't necessarily mean paying for a long-term care policy. Those are ridiculously expensive, and if you're already getting up to your senior years, it's not really cost effective. But there are benefits that you can get in some of the other plans that I do that are long-term care benefits that can help you, like doubling the income that you're getting if you get in a long-term care situation, or allowing you liquidity to all of your money in the plan if you get in a long-term care situation. There are different things that we can do, but again, going back to that first word from that very first step, plan, making sure you have a plan in place. And then last, step 7 is use your home equity wisely. Homes are fantastic, obviously. We all know that. We all know they're a great investment, but making sure that you are using the equity in your home wisely. They can be fantastic. Reverse mortgages can be a fantastic thing. Taking a home equity line of credit can be a fantastic thing, but they need to be done wisely. You don't want to bury yourself and get yourself in a bad situation, or get yourself in a bad reverse mortgage that's not exactly set up the way it should be for you specifically. You want to make sure that you do everything wisely, especially when you're talking about one of your biggest assets, which is your home. All right, so let's review real quick. Step 1, have a plan. Have a plan. That's the biggest thing. Step 2, maximize your Social Security benefits. Step 3, consider a hybrid retirement. Step 4, protect your savings from inflation. Step 5, secure more guaranteed retirement income. Step 6, plan for long-term medical costs. And step 7, use your home equity wisely. Again, we go into much more depth on each one of these steps in the webinar. It will be this Thursday. Just log on to our website, safemoneyretirement.com. Click on the webinar tab, register for the webinar this Thursday, and get all the details from this fantastic book. But make sure that you have all 7 of these steps addressed so you can also have a safe and happy retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Surrender charges apply to base contracts. Optional lifetime income benefit riders are used to calculate lifetime payments only and are not available for cash surrender or in a death benefit unless specified in the annuity contract. Fees may apply. Guarantees are based on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insurance company. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional. Obviously, by calling us now, you are just taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Rates and returns mentioned on this program are subject to change without notice.